Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Waha, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to Yakim, pushing his word and truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. This is Amathia from the GMS Dallas camp, and wanted to go into Valentine's Day. All right, today is February 14th, and you have everyone that's going, and there's going to be a lot of money spent today on balloons, sweets, candy, Valentine's Day candy. You have the dinners. So it's going to be a lot of money that's going to be pushed out. People be getting down to their last dollar trying to spend some money. And we're on hard, you have a lot of people on hard times right now. But they would do whatever they can to try to make their loved one happy with candies and gifts and festivities. But we know through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shah, this is not a righteous and reputable holiday through the spirit. All right. It's not a holy day. Now, I wanted to go ahead and go into the origins. I've typed in is the holiday, Valentine's Day, a pagan holiday. So I wanted to read this at the top, and we're just going to scroll through the Google search and say, however, many historians believe that the day originated from the Roman pagan festivity of fertility called Lupercalia, an event filled with animal sacrifice, random coupling, and the whipping of women. Not quite the romantic chocolate and roses day that we celebrate today. All right, and this was the top of the header of the pagan roots of Valentine's Day. All right, the History TV channel. All right, you see where it says history.cu.uk. This is in the articles, right? So the holiday that everyone is going around celebrating today, they feel like this is something it will spread love and joy. It's spreading folly. It's spreading wickedness. That's what it's actually doing, right? So, you know what? Let's just kind of go into this here. All right. I don't want to accept anything. So we're going to go down a little further. Let's try this one. The Dark Origins of Valentine's Day. All right. The Dark Origins of Valentine's Day. Say Valentine's Day is a time to celebrate romance and love and kissy face fealty. But the origins of the festival of candy and Cupid are actually dark, bloody, and a bit muddled. Muddled. Oh, it's muddled. Or muddled, however you want to say it. They say, though no one has pinpointed the exact origin of the holiday, one place to start is ancient Rome. Everything here goes back to Rome, right? Everything here goes back to Rome. All right? Because this is Rome 2.0. And the things that you Jakes, you so-called Black, Latinos, and Native Americans celebrate, like you say, and it's coming off these Roman religious ways and celebrations, is not by the way of your God, your power, the living power of Israel, which the 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 Holy One of Israel, the Most High, is named Yahweh. All right, meaning He is, and the one that ignorantly calls Jesus Yahweh Shai. All right. And you got to think, when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, he was it was at the peak of the Roman rulership. Okay, it became the Roman Empire, and I think who was that? Octavius, or his name is Augustus Caesar. All right, he was ruling. I want to say around 27 BC to around 14 or 14 AD. You have to fact check me on that, but I believe he reigned. He was the longest reigning Caesar for 40 years of Rome. For 40 years he reigned. But this was the height of it. This was a lot of the BS that was going on during these times. All right. And Jake became Hellenistic during time what? Going to the Greeks and following all the way through the Romans because they kept following the ways of what? Their adversary. Okay, their captives who was ruling over them. All right, so I wanted to bring this out here. This is Romans 1 and 21 before we continue on with the actual article. It say because that when they knew Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all right, so what is this going into? It say for they knew the basically going into the unbeliefs and the consequences, right? And it bring forth Yahweh Shem Yahushai anger. All right. And I want to start right here. You know what? I'm gonna start at verse 20. It say Romans 1 and 20. For the invisible, all right, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his power, eternal power, and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So when you have our people celebrating Valentine's Day, Christmas, things like that, you're giving a vibration to that God, all right, to that who the ancient Romans worship. You're not giving the honor or the homage. You know what I'm saying? You're not paying homage to the Yahweh Shem Yahushai, okay, to your power. You're paying to a false God. And like I said, the Lord, you see His creation, you see the thing. You not praising you praising the created, not the Creator. All right, the Lord He gave you these visible things to see, the sky. You know what I'm saying? Like you say, the grass. You know, the trees, the rocks, all these things that you see that He created. All right, all right. You can clearly see um, the qualities that the Lord has created, but yet you want to get a rock or get something and create it and mold it and fix it and then say, okay, I'm gonna represent this to be my God and I'm gonna worship it. You worship something you created. What kind of shit is that? And this was a man-made creation by who? Edom, Rome. You know, because you look at and did research on Rome, they were called Edom, Rome, right? And it says because that when they knew Yahweh Bashem Shai, they glorified him not as the Most High. Neither were thankful, but because vain in their images and their foolish heart was darkened. So our people don't even know their true power now. You know, when we got brought over here in the Western hemisphere of the world, we got our heritage, our beliefs, our wisdom, knowledge, well, our understanding beaten out of us. Now we're coming back into that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of knowing who we are. All right, to following the ways of how Bashim Yahushai. But our people don't want to hear, you know, as it says in Hosea 4, you know what I'm saying, around the 6th verse. All right. It says basically for and you read on through, it said our people reject knowledge, you know. So the Lord is going to reject them. And the same as this, you know, even when they knew who their power was, they still was following. So how much more when our people don't know who they actually are, who their real power is, who is the real God, okay? They don't know. But the thing is, even back then, they didn't know. I mean, they knew, but they still were not, like you say, glorifying the Lord. So how much more now? If you try to tell them, they don't know, and they don't want to know. They don't want to get that understanding. They want to stay in that dirt state. They want to stay with the foolish ass ideas of what Esau presented them. Now, when you see here, this is like the thing of going into Valentine's Day, right? I'm gonna keep going on Romans though, and then we'll jump to it. Romans 1:22. Professing themselves to be wise, they become fools and change the glory of the uncorruptible power into the image made like the corruptible man, and the two birds, and the four-footed beast, and the creeping thing. All right. And like I say, you have them make images and things like that. Now you have image of Valentine's Day. What do you see? It's an image of what? A heart and things like that. It's an image of anything, the color red. So it is basically a image that you still see in Valentine's Day. Now this picture here say a drawing. The picture on the screen it say a drawing depicts the death of Saint Valentine. One of them, anyway, the Romans executed two men by that name on February 14th on different years in the 3rd century. So as we read earlier, was a very bloody day. Now it says from February 13th to 15th, the Romans celebrated the feast of Lupercalia. The men sacrificed a goat and a dog, then worshiped women with the hides of the animal that they just slain. So it was a sacrifice. They sacrificed goats and things like that. Now, did they do that for the Lord? No. They did it for a God. When you do a sacrifice, you're doing a sacrifice for what? For your power, for your who you worship. And then they did what? Then whipped women with their with their hides of the animals. So they were whooping the shit out of these women. All right. They said the Roman romantics were drunk. They were naked. Noah Linsky, now a religious study professor at Yale University, told NPR in 2011. Young women would line up for the men to hit them, Linsky said. They believed this would make them fertile. So they were what? Going and representing the fertility god. All right. And I think during this time, Aphrodite, that might have been one of the god that they were actually uh, worshiping at this time. The goddess they were worshiping at the time, because they were looking for their fertility. And just a lot of orgies going on. All right. It was a lot of killing. So this was one big wicked day. You know what I'm saying? So now they just try to make it more smoother, more cooler. But it's still a wicked day. It's a wicked time. All right. And you still make certain images, like you say, the box of chocolate and different hearts and everything, you know. This is Romans 1:24. It says, wherefore Yahweh Bashim Shai also gave them up to uncleanliness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. All right. Let's keep reading over here. It say, the brutal feat included a matchmaking lottery in which young men drew the names of women from a jar. The couple would then couple up for the duration of the festival or longer if the match was right. The ancient Romans may also be responsible for the name of the modern day love. Emperor Claudius II executed two men, both named Valentine, on February 14th. Different years, but in the 3rd century, their martyrdom was honored by the Catholic Church, which celebrates the Saint Valentine's Day. Right? And then, like you say, this is a day where everybody gets gifts and celebrates and things like that. So, and what did they say? Let me see what this says here. A gift destroys the heart. I'm gonna go ahead and get that. This is Ecclesiastes 7, verse 7. It says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So a gift do destroy the heart. So that's why, and this women love this day because this is where all type of gifts can be presented. Show your love with balloons, candy, and and then it's all type of sex is gonna go on today. See, they just cleaned it up so it don't be bloody, but it's still all sexualized. It's still something that is basically under that fertility goddess vibration. All right. I'm gonna read this here. It says, "Is Valentine's Day a pagan tradition? Valentine's Day is widely believed to have began with the martyrdom of the three different saints named Valentine and Valentinus in Rome in the 3rd century. This version is linked to the pagan festival known as La Priscilla." Okay, what is La Priscilla? La Priscilla is an ancient Roman festival of purification and fertility held annually on February 14th. I just want to look at this. Why can't Jews celebrate Valentine's Day? Unfortunately, the Bible, Mishnah, and the Talmud, and let's let you know that them small hats, they basically utilize the Talmud. Are all mute of this subject of the Valentine's Day, and the holiday is a much later contrivance. Even a Roman precursor to it, La Priscilla, the ancient fertility cult celebrated February 13th through the 15th, is not mentioned in these texts. Now, one thing about it, you see that the date is still coincides with today. And that lets you know that same vibration goes out on this particular day. So no matter how you try to get away around it, it is still a wicked tradition. All right, it's not the way of the Lord, and the Lord said He's tired of all this. That's why the Lord is going to come and destroy these bugged out Christians and all these niggas and spick and all you just feel, that hey, it's for the kids. No, that's going to get you killed. All right. This is 1 Corinthians 5:9. I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators. All right. And if you read that in the NLT, it say, when I write to you before, I told you not to associate with people who indulge in sexual sin. All right. I'm going to get back to the King James here. Verse 10, it says, "Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or the extortioners, or with idolaters, for then must ye needs go out of the world." All right. Now, would you have like you said, do you have to leave the world to avoid these people? No, I mean we gotta deal with them, but we don't have to follow their ways, right? But it's verse 11. "But now I have written unto you not to keep company if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner. With such and one know not to eat." All right, so you don't supposed to eat with these people. You're supposed to basically keep away from them. Because one thing about it, if you basically still just try to dwell with them, that can basically, because we live in the flesh. All right, and the scriptures say the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So eventually, you can give in to that, right? Let me see if I can. This is Mark 14:38. It says, "Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation," because you could be tempted to follow their ways. All right, so that's why you're supposed to stray away from these people who are within the world. That's basically, like I say, fornicators, extortioners, um, all these people that basically perform these different folly or sinful ways. All right, let's say. All right, back in Mark 14:38, it says, "Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. All right. So that's why Yahweh Bashim Yahushua had Yahweh had to send Yahweh Shai to come for we can basically receive that mercy, all right, that forgiveness, for we can be delivered through the salvation, Lord willing, with those men, right? Like in Romans 8, it say Yahweh sent his own son for likeness of a sinful flesh, basically to what? Condemn sin in the flesh. So he walked through a righteous and perfect path where he could condemn the flesh for we can receive salvation, because we're too weak to receive. We're too weak to get through this life in this flesh without constantly going off. So this is a wicked holiday. All them holidays that Esau tried to put out are wicked. We do have holy days, and those are the days we're supposed to follow. All right. All Esau holidays that you see, when you can pull up the origin, it's full of bloodshed. It's full of sexuality. All right. It's full of all idol worshiping. And this is one of those days, so-called Valentine's Day. So with that, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Waha, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to Yah, pushing his word and truth and sincerity. Shalom.